Let's start today's lecture. Today's lecture is building blocks of mobile application. So building block is somehow similar to the software development life cycle, that we have to develop our application in such a way that our application give very good result in the market. If there's any competitor in the market who's having somehow same application in the market, then how we can compete that particular competitor, and we must build a good application that give the good result as the good satisfaction to the developer as well as to the customer who use it. So few are the blocks that we will discuss today, that how this block will help to design or develop the mobile application. So basically the building block are the components used by the application developer to build a mobile application, and it is to compete the individual application in the market with the rivals, compete with the rivals that are already existing in the market. How we can improve our product much better to them and compete them and attract the more customer to our side, so the customer will use our application instead of the application that is currently running in the market. So this is concerned about the building blocks of mobile application. So let's start the topic, the building blocks of mobile application. Building blocks are component used by an application developer to build a mobile application. So building blocks are conventional items that put together to create a more significant application, more better application. If you're already having existing application in the market, then how you can improve your application again to compete the mobile application better than their competitors. Is there any rivals in the market? Then how you have to compete that rivals so that you get a good result of your application. So there are some of the ways, the best ways to build the application with the major building blocks. So these are some of the building blocks. That is the confirming on the idea. So whatever application you have to going to develop, you definitely have clear idea of that, what you are going to develop and why you are going to develop, for whom you are going to develop. You must know the objectives, and you also know the who are your competitors. Then you can see the user interface design, that your design should be in such a pattern that the user interface is much easy for the customer, whoever use your application, as well as you get a good experience of the customer also, that the customer before using your application, the customer will ask why should I use it. Then after start using it, how I can use this after using it, and how is its experience, how the experience of the user. Then you have user interface elements. It can be what button, what text box, what cards, what commands you have used over there, what menus and fields are there. Then you have functional based, one second, okay, functional based user interface. You can tell about, we talk about this thing like threads and what are the various tasks that are being performed, and what are the notifications, and what are the internal storage and external storage over here. Then you have data handling, and data handling you're having the sprucing up the mobile application. So the sprucing up the mobile application is that how you can improve your application, how you make your application more smarter. If your application is already in the market, and if your application not in the market, how you can make your application more smarter than the competitors that running in the market, that your rivals that are running in the market. So on the basis of these blocks, we can design our mobile application and get the better result, and we can compete with our competitors in the market. So this is a very brief introduction about today's lecture. So let's start with all the building blocks one by one. First is the confirming on the idea. So before planning to proceed, one need to answer the following question to make sure that you are making a wrong idea. The idea is worth investing time or effort. So whatever you're going to design, is it useful for you? Is it useful for the company? It will give profit or it will give some loss. So all this information we can achieve. Then mention the application objectives. Why do you want to build the mobile application? Is your application appropriate to fit according to the audience need? And do you have enough resources? So the application you are going to design, you must know that why are you going to design that application, and does your application is as per the requirement of the users in the market, and do you have the enough resources so that you can develop the application. Then the target audience, who is the users that are going to use your applications. You must know your target audience, that uh, the person who have to use their application, how much their strength are in the market. If there's a very good strength in the market, definitely you get some profit for designing the application. If there's no very few users in the market who have to use the application, that I think you don't get that much good profit over there. So you must know the target audience also. Application proposition, what are the important features of the application? uh, why should your audience use your application, and how will you differentiate yourself from the existing uh, market applications or your rivals in the market? So you have to mention all these things. Before using the application, the customer can read all the features of application. Does all the features satisfy the requirement of the user? And why should your audience use the application? Before installing the application, the mobile, everyone first think that why should I install, is it beneficial to me? So it can already be studied with the features of the application. And if the user is already having some application in the mobile, then why should the user install your application? The user can only install your application if your application has some additional features, good features, and that are not existing in the market. Then competitor analysis, very important point, that whenever you have to design application, you have to compete the person in the market that are running the same application or launching the same application. So who are your competitors? So before launching the application, you must know who are your competitors in the market, with whom you are going to compete. You have the full information about your competitor, that can you compete that person, or it is easy for you, or it is tough for you. Is your idea of solving the problem is better than the market competitors? Definitely, if your idea is better than the competitors or rivals, your application will survive and you get the profit. If your idea is not better than the existing market, or you can say whatever you're going to design that is already running in the market, then I think you don't get that much good profit. So whenever you launch a new application, you must know that if there's any running application in the market, you have to add some new features in it, so that because of additional features, people can upload your application in the mobile. Definitely more application investment. So how much money you're going to spend on your development of the application? So are you ready to invest money, adjust efforts, and utilize time for application development? So money and the time are two big factors. So how much cost it will take to develop the application? So the cost should be in such a pattern that you, whatever you invest, you get a good profit of it. And definitely time also is an important factor, how much time it will take to develop an application. So it should not exceed the time limit, then you will be in not in a good profit, or definitely go towards the loss. and application marketing. So whenever you develop an application, you are definitely go for the marketing of the application so that the customer running in the market come to know that some new application is being launched in the market. So when and how will you promote your application? Definitely promotion is important factor. Whenever you design a new application, you have to promote the application and highlight your application in such a pattern that user come to know that new application is being launched in the market and come user should install it. What is your promotional strategies? And you must know the what are strategies you are using for the promotion of the new applications. So this is about the confirming of the idea. So it is about the application objective, target audience, application proposition, competitor analysis, application investment, and application marketing. So this is your one building block. Let's move to the next one. Next is the user interface design. Whatever application you develop, design and develop, the user will only use your application if the interface of the application is very much easy among mobile and the user. If the user unable to run your mobile, run your application on his or her mobile, then definitely the interface is poor. And if the interface is poor, definitely the results are poor. So user interface design is much important factor whenever you design the mobile application. So mobile user interface allow the user to interact with mobile applications, features, contents, and functions. Touch screen size reflect user interface design to ensure usability, readability, and reliability. So whatever function the user has to perform on the application, definitely it being done by the by touching the screen of the mobile, and your application should be in such a pattern that it should not have a huge text. It should not have a huge icons that cover most of the screen and unable to show all other icons. And it should be readable. Whatever you write on the application should be readable to the customer and reliable also. The symbol and text label should not cause confusion. So the symbols, whatever symbols you use for your application, that should be in such a way that it should not resemble to any text pattern of the whatever text you have written over there. So don't get confused whether it is a text or a symbol. So you must take care of it. The symbol should have a different pattern or different color, and the text that you have being used that should have a different pattern and different color, so that the user can easily understand which one is the symbol and which one is the text. So there should be no confusion to the user among symbol and the text. User interface include selecting a color, corporate identity, and latest design principles. So whenever you design a mobile application, you must take care of the color combination that you have used in your mobile application. Attractive color combination definitely attract the users. So that color combination should be in a good pattern and latest design principles. So whatever rules you have used for designing the application, that should you use the latest one. Then mobile user experience. So one is the user interface, one is the user experience. We call user interface as UI and the user experience as UX. So what user experience is that the user perception and feeling before, during, and after interaction with the application. uh, why the user will use your application. So this is a feeling to the user before the user install your application on his or her mobile. Why should the user install your application in his or her mobile? So that should be identified about all the features. And whenever you go for the marketing of your uh, product application, user come to know that from your marketing the user come to know that why the user should install your application. Definitely, if you have some new additional features in your application that are not currently running in the market or your competitors, then the user will definitely go for your application. So why the user install your application in his or her mobile, and if the user install your application in the mobile, how is his experience? Is it easy for him to run the application, or is there some difficulty for the user to run the application? Does the color combination of your application is attractive, or the user is not happy with the color combination of your application? Is it is difficult for the user to read the text, or a user feels very easy for using the text? And does the symbol that you have used in your application have particular meaning? So you what for whatever symbol you have used for any function, that symbol should uh, symbolize that function, or you can say related to that function. It means that when user install the application, the user feel much comfortable by running the application, and user install the application, you run the application, and after their interaction with an application. So once the user install the application and run the application, uh, now either the user will uninstall the application, or the user will recommend others people or his or her friends to go for the new application. Is very good. So definitely that becomes the experience. If experience is bad, the user will uninstall the application from his or her mobile. If the experience or user is satisfied with the application, then definitely he or she will ask his or her friends go for the new application. The application is very good. So definitely it comes that interaction of the your application after using it. So it becomes the user experience. The user experience is also an important factor for designing the or developing the mobile application. The goal of user interface design is to make user interaction as simple and efficient as possible in terms of accomplishing your goals. So the user interface design must be attractive to the user. So you can say the mobile user interface allow the user to interact with mobile application and the content and the functions. So the user should easily access all the functions, read all the function, understand the symbols that have used for the functions, read the content of your application easily, and feel comfortable while interacting with your application. So these are all about the user interface, and mobile user interface always a way through which user interact with the mobile application. And the user interface includes all the control buttons, all the blocks, all the elements of the application through which the user interact with the application. And the process of developing easy and enjoyable and effective user interface include definitely the color and the corporate identity and the latest design principles. So these are all about the user interface design. If we move further, we have a user interface design principles. What are the principles? So user interface design principle is the first one is the structure principle, then simplicity principle, then visibility, then feedback, then tolerance, and reuse. So the structure principle is the design should be organized, the user interface in meaningful and useful way based on clear, consistent model that are apparent and recognizable to the user, and putting the related things together and separating the unrelated things, and differentiating the similar things and making similar things resemble to each other. So what is the structure means that uh, the design should be organized, or it should be have some particular meaning and useful to the user, and the user have clear understanding of the user interface of your application, and it should have proper meaning, and the user can easily use to it. and all the things that are related should be in one particular direction, and the things that are not that much uh, you can say recognizable, that put on other section, so that the user can easily resemble which one is useful to the user and which one is not. That is structure principle. So second is the simplicity. The design should make simple, and the task should be easy, and the communication between the user application definitely clear and simple, and it should be in you have option that the user can communicate with the your application either with the English language or other language that is much more comfortable to the user. You can say if you are in Punjab, the user can use the language either in English or Punjabi or Hindi. So you have option in your application that you can convert that text from English to Punjabi, or you convert the text from uh, English to Hindi and vice versa. So this is a simplicity principle of the user interface. Then is the visibility principle, that the design should make all needs, options, and material for the given task visible without distracting the user. So whatever text and information that you have provided to the user should be visible to the user, and definitely there should be no repetition of the text or symbols that you have used in your application designing. So it means that visible tasks without redundant information, that your information should not be repeated again and again. Feedback principle. The design inform user about action and interpretation and changes of state of conditions and error in your application. That is the in the feedback. You collect all the uh, good response and bad response from the user, collect the regular user interpretation, that is the user satisfied with the application interaction, or the user finds some errors in it, or bugs in it, or unsatisfactory symbol or text in it. In a simple language, inform user about updates and error user interested. And whenever the user gives you some information guide that they are not satisfied with particular symbol or text, then definitely accept that text from the user and try to improve your application. And after improving the application, do send the updation message to the user that you better update your application. We have changed make changes in the application as per your requirement. So design inform the user about the action and the interpretations, or you can say changes in the state of the application, and whatever error being you can say noticed by the user are being get removed, and you have to make in such a way the interest of the user get more in your application, because you have given the proper return to the feedback of the user, whatever user have noticed regarding your application, good or bad. You have given the reply of it. If the user is satisfied with the application, then you send a notification as a thanks regarding the that the user has accepted all the content of the application. So that is the feedback principle. Next is the tolerance principle. The design should be flexible and reliable, reducing the cost of mistakes and misuse by allowing undoing and redoing the things, and also preventing the errors wherever possible by the various inputs and what are the various sequence of operations, and by interpreting all the reasonable actions. So you have to design the application in a flexible way and in such a way that you get a least cost while developing the application, as well as by improving the mistakes of the application, and try to uh, reduce your undoing and redoing the all the contents and functioning, and prevent the errors whenever you are designing your mobile applications. The error can definitely give the wrong result and user dissatisfaction. The last is the reuse of the principle. The design should reuse internal and external component and maintain the consistency. So this is all about the various user interface design principles uh, that can be used in the building block of the mobile application. So next is the mobile user interface design parameters. So what are the various parameters that we go for the user interface? The layout of information, command, and content in the application allow user to quickly learn how to use an interface. Definitely, the layout of the information command, or you can say the content of an application, uh, give the user about the operations that the user can use by accessing the application. So the composition and the color combination should allow the user to quickly learn and how to interact with the functions. Definitely, if your application having a good color combination, good meaningful symbols, and meaningful content, then the user will definitely go for that application. It can all be done if the layout of the application is good. So what is the layout? Layout is the online screen that the user can see whenever the user install the applications. Once the user install the application, the very first screen the user can look in of your application is the layout of the user interface. If the layout is attractive, definitely the user will go for the internal functioning of your application. So if the layout is not interactive, and the user will definitely, in fact, not neither go for the your functioning of the application, but uninstall the application from his or her mobile. So it means the layout is the important factor for the mobile user face design. Simplicity principle. In fact, sorry, the simplicity principle means that click point should not be that much too large and should not be that much too small. So whatever the click point you have used in your mobile application, that should be simple, not too large on screen and not too small on screen that is not readable. So click point can't be too small in any direction for unwanted selection of nearby items called fat fingering. So what fat finger is that you want to click on some particular you can say symbol, but the symbols are too small that instead of clicking on that particular symbol, some other fingers can get clicked. So every symbol should be a distance apart so that the user can easily select that particular you can say icon. So click point must be usable for touch-based selection with fingers. This means the click point cannot be too small or too you can say cannot be too narrow, and it should be, avoid the unwanted selection by the user whenever the user want to select any particular item or symbol from the layout. Next is the maximize the content window size for user interface. Uh, it's important to recognize that the object of the user interface is to make easy to the user to use the content and the application. So maximize the content of window size is for user interface to make easy for use of the content and the application for the user to use the application, or you can say to adjust the interface of the application. Next is the interacting with the content. So interacting with the content should not be confusing. So whatever content is written in the application should have particular meaning. It should not be redundant. So the number of control or symbols displayed at any given point or time should be appropriate to avoid overwhelming of the user. So the user can easily understand what a particular text means and that text should not be repeated again at any other location. So the user unable to know what to do with this particular operation. So the user could not be get in confusion that how to operate the application. The clutters used in the user interface has never yielded the favorable results. Element like uh, too many buttons or images only complicate the usability or irritate the users. So clutter means that uh, you can say a mess of symbols. Do not create a mess of symbols. The mess of symbol irritate the user. What these things are unable to understand what this thing is. So clutter means that you not create a mess of symbols, mess of text. The user unable to understand. So clutter user interface has never yield favorable result because the mess will definitely create a bad result. So user unable to understand what all the collection of symbol altogether is. The user unable to understand. If it is unable to understand, definitely it will give not a good results. So element like too many buttons or images only complicate usability, irritate the user. So whenever you create a mess or clutter of the symbols or the images, it will irritate the user and user will not use your application. So this is about the various parameter regarding the uh, mobile user interface design. Okay, uh, I think within a few minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, it's going to stop. So we'll just wait for some time. After 1 or 2 minutes, I will again send you the link and you join the class. ठीक है, students?